This demonstration is designed to provide a brief introduction to some of the features of the Dfuze360 analytical tool. With Dfuze360, users can conduct advanced analysis of diffuse data, connect to live internal and external data sources through a single interface, execute complex searches of structured and unstructured data, complete temporal, geospatial, and link analyses, and export analytical products through a variety of common and custom options. To demonstrate these capabilities, we will play the role of intelligence analysts working for a joint terrorism task force. In this scenario, we were recently notified that the threat group Stop Huntingdon Animal Cruelty, or SHAC, has claimed responsibility for a recent bombing. In response, we are responsible for completing 3 tasks. Our first task is to create a group activity report. Our second task is to exploit cell phone data seized from a suspect. And finally, we are to conduct an investigative analysis to generate any additional leads or suspects. To complete our first task, the group activity report, we will simply open a pre-existing project. To create this project, we identified where we wanted to pull our data, or what questions we wanted to ask of the data. We then decided how we wanted the information displayed, and then defined the specific properties of each display. Dfuze360 includes 11 unique display types. For this example, however, we have selected 4 of the most common. Our first display is a Dfuze360 table that includes all main incident reports for SHAC. We can easily change the information displayed. We can modify the font and size of the text. We can also highlight rows or cells based on values. We can quickly organize our table by rearranging the columns or complete simple and complex sorts. All the displays are easily exported to other formats. The table has a unique feature with an option to export the data directly to Microsoft Excel. Our next display is a map displaying the location of our main incidents. We can customize this map by changing the map imagery, icons, labels, fonts, legends, and so forth. Dfuze360 maps support shapefiles, so we could search for data within a specific area or build our own custom area of interest by creating a new shape on the map. We have linked our displays together so we can highlight or open records if additional information is desired. Since Dfuze360 can connect to live data sources, we could set this map to refresh at a specific interval in order to visualize and track incidents in near real time. At the bottom of the map, you'll see a time scroll bar. We have linked our table and map together so we can view data over time in different displays. We could also link additional displays if necessary. Our next display is a chart that sorts the incident types within a pie. As with the other displays, Dfuze360 charts are highly customizable. We could change fonts, colors, and labels. We can also change the type of chart to a bar, stacking bar, scatter, or almost any of the more common chart types. Our final display is a grid that indicates the number of SHAC crimes per U.S. city. As with the other displays, we could uniquely customize this grid to meet our requirements. For this example, we selected shades of red to indicate the volume of reports. As you'll note, our highest number of reports is 16 reports for Seattle, and it is shaded a dark red. Since Dfuze360 has live connections to its data sources, we can quickly visualize any information we deemed relevant. There is no need to create a new query or wait for another data dump to execute an up-to-date search. All we need to do is to select the data of interest and then define how we want to visualize this information. In this example, we are going to send our 16 main incident reports to a new pivot table to explore this data more thoroughly. Our organization logs text pulled from group blogs in the Dfuze Publications report. Since this is done annually, the text included is extensive. Although potentially valuable, this information is difficult to process efficiently. However, Dfuze360 offers us the capability to quickly explore this free text data to see if any trends or patterns are identifiable. Our results are rendered at the top of our table. Dfuze360 has read, so to speak, our narratives and identified like words and phrases. It then grouped these common words and phrases into logical topics. This capability can be customized for your specific needs. We could, for example, create an alias list for explosives that includes words like bomb, grenade, IED, and so on. Dfuze360 would then group any of these alias terms together under the topic explosives. If we click on the anger blast line, our table is updated to the record where this information was extracted. We have now reduced our report set and can see that the violent language intensified during 2013. For this scenario, we'll assume we've conducted a thorough analysis and found these 12 reports all contain a common crime pattern and are likely related. Our monthly crime report is complete, and now we need to disseminate. Dfuze360 offers us many options to share this information. We could export each display as an image, as a standard PDF, or as a report customized specifically for our organization. If our agency hosts a public or internal website that uses our monthly crime data, we could export to an HTML file. In this scenario, our organization shares this information through PowerPoint presentations, and we will send our displays to our agency's standard template. Our group activity report task is now complete. As you saw during the introduction, to recreate this project with new data, all that is required is to simply open the project and then export the results. Now that our group activity report is complete, we can now move on to our second task, which is to complete the analysis of some cell phone data. In this scenario, a suspect was detained soon after the bombing and his cell phone was seized. We've obtained the phone records of the week prior to the event in the form of a Microsoft Access database, and we want to see if there are any relationships between the numbers called and the individuals included in our Dfuze Persons Involved database. To start, we are going to search for the suspect's cell phone through the Dfuze360 Simple Query panel and send that information to a link analysis chart. We start with our suspect's phone number as the central node. As we expand, we can see many numbers not linked to persons in our database. Scrolling down on the browser, we can see one person that is known to us, Stephen Witherspoon. To better visualize the importance of Mr. Witherspoon during the week prior to the bombing, we can change the layout. We can see multiple phone calls to and from our in-custody suspect the week of the bombing. Expanding additional levels of associations, we can now see an additional person contained within our Persons Involved database. We could review additional details on each record that is on the chart. We could even analyze the shortest path between two records. As with all Dfuze360 displays, we have considerable choices in how to visualize data. We can modify the layout, make annotations, or change labels, icons, and colors. We could also display or filter confidence levels of associations to more effectively convey the information. Using our link analysis chart, we could create a PDF or PowerPoint for distribution. If our fellow officers and analysts working in another investigative section had Dfuze360, we could actually share the original chart as a collaborative tool. In doing so, we could create additional links that would reside on our local database and wouldn't modify the original records. Our third task was to conduct an investigative analysis for the purpose of identifying any potential suspects. Now that we have persons of interest, we want to see what information is available within any other databases to which we have access. To search for the first person of interest, Stephen Witherspoon, we just type that name into the Dfuze360 search bar. Dfuze360 will now execute a live search of all the data sources with which we are connected, whether they are internal or external. In this example, we see Mr. Witherspoon was found in our phone data and our Dfuze Persons Involved database, as we had already determined, but he is also in an external warrant database. We can see that Mr. Witherspoon is already wanted for conspiracy to murder, so another organization has likely already identified his involvement with the bombing. We can now search for our other person of interest, Theodore Ramsey. As before, Dfuze360 has searched all our available data sources. If we expand the records, we can see the highlighted text of our search terms to confirm matches. Since there are multiple records, we can send one of the returns to an Object Explorer to better sort through the information. Within the Object Explorer, we can expand relationships and then open objects to review the data. As before, we could share this information through a variety of export options. There are considerably more capabilities and use cases we could show you. This has just been a quick example of how Dfuze360 can aid the work of one specific role, but whether it's data collection and reporting or analysis, Dfuze360 provides the capabilities to help make your teams faster and more effective.